We've all absolutely been there, right? You sit down at your desk, you stare at this massive, chaotic 15-task to-do list, and instantly, bam, a massive wave of overwhelming paralysis just washes over you. You sit there waiting for a magical burst of inspiration or motivation to kick in, but yeah, nothing happens. Well, if that sounds familiar, you are in the exact right place today. Welcome to this explainer on the daily discipline system. We're going to dive deep into a framework that is literally the ultimate relief for that paralysis. We're talking about how to completely replace fleeting, unpredictable motivation with rock-solid, bulletproof systems. To actually put daily discipline on autopilot, we've got to break this blueprint down into manageable chunks. So here's our game plan. We'll start with why discipline beats motivation. Then we'll cover mapping energy instead of just time, building a daily task system, prioritizing what actually matters, beating procrastination and distractions, and finally, building consistency for the long run. Let's get right into it.
Okay, Section 1. Why discipline beats motivation. Listen, we need a complete paradigm shift right out of the gate here. We have to expose motivation for what it truly is, a moody, super unreliable friend. You know the type. It shows up when a project is brand new and exciting, but the exact second the work gets hard, or boring, or repetitive, motivation completely vanishes.
There is this incredibly powerful truth from the text that I want you to internalize. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. See, willpower isn't some limitless well you can keep drawing from. It's a highly limited resource that runs totally dry by the evening. If your strategy for getting things done relies entirely on willpower, you are basically designing a system that is guaranteed to fail on a tiring day.
We've really got to hammer home this core difference. Motivation is just a fleeting mood, but discipline is a reliable, repeatable system. And here's the best part. The goal of a discipline system isn't to just force yourself to do hard things through sheer miserable grit. No. The whole point is to design your day so that doing the right thing becomes the absolute easiest thing to do, completely regardless of how you happen to feel when you roll out of bed.
Moving on to Section 2. Map energy, not just time. This right here is the true foundation of the entire framework. Traditional advice tells you to just manage the clock, but honestly, an hour of work at 9 a.m. is biologically just not the same as an hour of work at 9 p.m. To really grasp this, we have to look at the three types of time that make up every single day of our lives. First, we have committed time. Think meetings, fixed obligations. Second, flexible time, which is when you actually get to decide what to do. And finally, recovery time, your meals, rest, and transition periods. The reason most task systems fail so miserably is that people try to cram their heavy-lifting, flexible tasks straight into their recovery time, or they let those committed obligations totally eat up their flexible hours.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that you must map your personal energy. The source material suggests this brilliant, simple exercise. For just 3 days, jot down your energy levels, just high, medium, or low, every 2 hours. You're going to quickly spot a personal pattern, maybe a morning peak and an afternoon dip. Once you know this, it's a game changer. You can assign your hardest, discipline-heavy tasks right into those high-energy windows and save all your low-energy dips for simple admin work, like filing or replying to routine emails.
All right, Section 3, the daily task system. This is the mechanical heart of the framework. It's the actual engine that processes your work every single day so your poor brain doesn't have to constantly hold on to all of it.
Every highly functional task management system has exactly 4 non-negotiable jobs: capture, clarify, organize, and review. And I mean non-negotiable. If any single one of these steps gets skipped, the entire system springs a leak. Tasks get forgotten, your lists turn into this messy digital clutter, and worst of all, you stop trusting your own system. The exact moment you stop trusting it, you go right back to keeping everything in your head, which just generates massive amounts of stress. Let's zero in on step 1 for a second, the one inbox rule. You have to pick exactly one place to capture new tasks as they pop up during your day. It could be a specific physical notebook, it could be a single app on your phone, but it cannot be 3 different places. Having just one capture location ensures that tasks, ideas, and those random reminders never silently disappear into the void. And when it's finally time to organize those captured tasks for the day, keep this magic number in your head. 3 to 5. That is the ideal, realistic number of tasks to pull from your inbox onto your to-do list. Listen, writing out a 15-item wish list every morning, that's not planning. That is literally just setting yourself up for failure when you inevitably only finish 6 of them.
Finishing a short, focused list of 3 to 5 tasks actually builds trust in your system, and having that trust, that makes discipline significantly easier the next day.
Which brings us nicely to Section 4. Prioritize what actually matters. Having a short list is awesome, but we need the specific skills to decide exactly which tasks actually deserve those precious high-energy hours we mapped out earlier.
To do this, the text leans on the classic Eisenhower matrix, dividing tasks into 4 simple quadrants. You've got important and urgent, stuff you do right now, important but not urgent, stuff you schedule for later, and by the way, remember this, that second quadrant is where actual long-term progress comes from. Then we have not important but urgent, and finally, not important and not urgent. I do want to give you a massive warning about quadrant 3 though, not important but urgent. This specific quadrant absolutely dominates most people's lists, but in reality, it's very often just other people's urgency disguised as your priority. Do not let it eat your best hours.
Beyond the matrix, there are 2 fantastic rapid-fire rules. First up, the one big thing rule. Before you even look at your whole list, ask yourself, if I only finish one task today, which one would make the whole day a success? Put that task squarely in your highest energy window. Second is the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, honestly, don't even add it to your list. Just do it immediately so those tiny tasks don't silently multiply and overwhelm you later. When we put all of this together into a perfect, discipline-friendly schedule, it flows something like this. You spend your first 15 minutes reviewing your list. Your absolute highest energy block goes to deep work on that one big thing. Midday is for meetings, the lower energy block is for admin work, and crucially, this is huge, you reserve the last 10 minutes of the workday for a closeout review. Writing tomorrow's list before you even log off for the day is vital. It completely clears the mental clutter so you aren't dragging work stress into your evening.
But of course, let's be real. Even with a totally perfect schedule, resistance happens. And that brings us to Section 5, beating procrastination and distractions. These are the inevitable dragons we all have to face when we finally sit down to get the work done. So, let's ask a very relatable question. Why do we actually procrastinate? The text makes a really fascinating point here. Spoiler alert, procrastination is rarely about laziness. Instead, it's almost always a psychological reaction to a task feeling just way too big, too vague, too unpleasant, or too disconnected from any actual reward. You really don't need more willpower. You just need to redesign the task itself. Enter a total life-saving technique, the 2-minute start. When you are absolutely dreading a task, just commit to working on it for exactly 2 minutes. You aren't committing to finishing it, you're just starting it to overcome that initial friction, that activation energy. Psychology proves time and again that starting is literally the only real hurdle. Once you're actually in motion, it's so much easier to just keep going than it is to stop. Now, once you've started, you have got to protect your focus from distractions. The source provides some excellent rapid-fire tactics for this. First, physically put your phone in another room during your high-energy blocks. Don't just put it on silent, get it out of sight. Close all unused browser tabs. Keep a small parking lot notepad right next to you so when a random stray thought pops up, you can write it down and get back to work without losing momentum. And finally, batch check your messages at set times rather than reacting to every single ping that comes your way.
Okay, let's move into our final phase. Section 6, consistency for the long run. Because setting up a system is one thing, but how do we actually maintain it without totally falling off the wagon the second life gets stressful? The secret here is to plan for bad days in advance by creating a minimum viable day routine. This concept is meant to deeply relieve your pressure. Because a system that only works when you are perfectly rested and having a great day, that's not a system, that's just a best-case scenario. If you have a terrible, exhausting day, your minimum viable routine might literally just be doing a 5-minute review and knocking out one tiny task. Doing just that keeps the habit alive, so you don't have to start completely from scratch tomorrow. Another major key to longevity is habit stacking. This is where you attach a brand new discipline habit to an existing automatic one. So for example, you tell yourself, right after I pour my morning coffee, I open my to-do list. You track a super simple yes or no streak for this. This approach makes discipline an engineered environment. It becomes an automatic chain reaction, rather than relying on whether or not you have a disciplined personality. To help you get there without being totally overwhelmed, we can follow a 30-day rollout plan. Week 1, you're just setting up your one inbox and your daily list. That's it. Week 2, you map your energy and start focusing on your one big thing.
Week 3, you introduce that closeout review and the Eisenhower matrix. And finally, Week 4 adds a weekly review and defines your minimum viable day. See? This proves you absolutely don't need to do everything at once to build a wildly successful system.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What is the first small, repeatable decision you're going to make today? Remember, discipline isn't a feeling you wait for. It is something you actively build. And hey, even if you slip up next week or next month, your simple re-entry plan is always right there waiting for you. Just open your inbox, pick 3 tasks, and start. So what's your first move going to be?